Here's our second grammar lesson on the future tense, focusing here on irregular verbs. Remember that regular verbs don't have a regular pattern by which they conjugate. This makes them relatively hard to memorize, as you can't necessarily predict what the ending is going to be, what that form is going to look like. Instead, you just have to memorize these particular forms so that when you see any word like erit or wolet or ibit in a Latin translation, that you can immediately recognize it, remembering that this word erit is the future tense form of the verb sum esse, the verb to be in Latin, or this word wolet here is the future tense form of volo velle, the verb to want in Latin, or this verb here, ibit, is the future tense form of io ire, which is the verb to go in Latin. So this chart here and the 6 verbs that they have listed really just need to be memorized. Note that volo, velle, nolo, nelle, ferro, ferre, and io ire all have future tense endings like those of regular verbs. If you look, volo, velle, nolo, nelle, and ferro, ferre all have a future tense endings like verbs in the third and fourth conjugation, whereas the verb io ire with its endings ibo, ibis, ibit has endings like a first and second conjugation verb, as future tense endings like a first and second conjugation verb. Try to memorize as best you can where long vowels occur in the endings of these verbs. And remember that the tenses of these compounds of irregular verbs are formed in the same way as the uncompounded verb forms. And a compound verb is a common verb like io ire, which is the verb to go in Latin. If you were to add a preposition onto that verb, such as an ex io, it means I go, and then if you remember, the preposition ex means out. So I go out, or I leave, or even better, exire, right? The ire here is the infinitive form of the verb io ire. Exire plus the preposition ex means to, literally exit. This is where we get our word exit from. But just remember that compound verbs are going to have the same present and imperfect and future tense endings as their uncompounded forms. So you just add a preposition onto it, and it slightly changes the definition of that word in accordance with the meaning of the preposition. To practice these important skills, let's go ahead and do exercise 23G. In this section, we're to read aloud each of these following 6 sentences, identify all verbs in the future tense, and we are to translate them. And the verbs in the future tense are going to be irregular verbs like the ones listed in the charts at the top of this page. And I've taken a photo of that right here so we can refer back to it as much as we need to. So let's go ahead and get started. Ibisne ad curiam pater, itovero ad curiam clariter ibo. Our verbs are here, ibis and ibo. Both of these verbs are from io ire, the verb to go in Latin. The way that this is formed, to find the root of any verb, you look at the infinitive, which in this case is the word ire. The infinitive always ends with the letters re in Latin. To find the root, you take off the letters re, and that leaves you with your root. The verb to go in Latin is so short that the only root that you have left is this letter I. And that's what you use to join with the future tense endings. So we'll add the letters bi. This is the future tense identifier, and then our personal endings. In this case, the letter s for ibis. Ibis is going to be future tense, and it's second person in singular. So you'll translate it as you will go. And then ibo, which if you look here, is first person in singular, There's a slight change in the first person singular. So I, Bo. In this case, it's going to be future tense. And is first person and singular. And so you'll translate it as I will go. Now that we've identified all our verbs in the future tense, we can go ahead and translate this sentence. Ibisne ad Korean pater. Ne is the way that Romans would ask a question. They just tacked it on to the end of a verb. So you'll translate this as will you go? And then ad Korean is a prepositional phrase meaning to the Senate house. To the Senate house. Kuria is the Senate house in Rome. And then pater just means father. As you can see, we're asking a question here. Will you go to the Senate house, father? And then itowero just means yes, indeed. And then ad kuriam kaleriter aibo. Aibo contains your subject and your verb. I will go to the Senate house. And then the word kaleriter is just an adverb meaning quickly. I will go to the Senate house quickly. Next sentence, quando domum redibus pater nescio. The only verb that we have in the future tense is here with redibus. Redibus, you can tell, is in the future tense because of the letters bi that are in between the root of this verb and its personal endings. They also have provided the vocabulary word redio, redire, redii, reditoros, which means to return or go back. It's a compound verb made up of io, ire, which means to go, and then the prefix ri or red, which means to go back, kind of like our English word return. Our English word return. So here we've got a compound verb. We have the letters bi that signify the future tense, and then we have the letter s here. So the personal ending s. So it's future tense, and it's second person and singular. And so you'll translate it as you will return or you will return back. Redibus here is the only verb that we have in the future tense. Nescio is a verb, but it's present tense, first person and singular, and means I do not know. It's the way that you should translate it. Let's go ahead and translate the sentence since we found all our verbs in the future tense. Quando domum redibus. So when, quando just means when. When will you return, domum, home, father, and then father says, nescio, I don't know. And then here's our verb in the future tense, when will you return? Next sentence, number 3, fortasse Cornelius domum redire brevi tempore poteret. The only verb that we have here in the future tense is poteret. You can see here it's from possum, posse, which means to be able to do. The verb possum, posse, and sum esse have radically different forms in the future tense, radically different endings in the future tense. And in this case, it's the words erit, or in this case, poteret. So this just needs to be carefully memorized here. So poteret is future tense, and it's third person and singular. And so you'll translate it as he will be able, and then this word will be complemented by an infinitive that will indicate what he or she is able to do. In this case, it's a he, since Cornelius here is our subject. Now that we've found the only verb here in this sentence that's in the future tense, we can translate it. So, fortasse, which is an adverb that means perhaps. Perhaps Cornelius. Cornelius is our subject. You can tell by the US ending, which is nominative, masculine, and singular. Perhaps Cornelius, poteret, will be able to, and we need an infinitive that complements the meaning of poteret. In this case, it's redire. We'll be able to return, and then our direct object is here, domum, to return home, breve tempore, in a short time. And I'll translate this one again. But our future tense verb is poteret. It's translated here, will be able. Let's translate the whole thing. Perhaps Cornelius, poteret, future tense, will be able, redire, to return home, breve tempore, in a short time. Perhaps Cornelius will be able to return in a short time. Next sentence. Euclides et pueri in urbem mane exierant. The only verb that we have here in the sentence is exierant, which is from the compound verb exio, exire, exii, exitoris, which means to go out. However, it's not in the future tense. You see here the forms of the irregular verb io ire, to go. Remember that a compound verb would have the same endings as that verb when it is uncompounded. So for instance, the future tense ending for a third person plural verb ibunt, well, is ibunt. And so if this verb were compounded with the preposition ex, it would be ex I bunt. You wouldn't change it. You wouldn't change the endings. You would just add on the preposition ex. So the word that we have here, exierant, isn't future tense, but is actually perfect tense. It's perfect tense, third person, and plural. I know it's third person plural because of the nt ending that's here. And erant is the perfect tense form of this verb when it is uncompounded. All we've done to it is add the preposition ex to indicate, somebody went out. And who went out? Our subject is here, Euclides et pueri. Euclides and the boys went out in urbem, into the city, mane, early in the morning. So we don't have a verb in the future tense, only one verb in the perfect tense. Let's go ahead and translate this sentence. Euclides and the boys went out in urbem, into the city, early in the morning. Mane is an adverb that means early in the day or early in the morning. Now we translate that. We can go on to the next sentence. Number 5. Necesse erat deu in urbe manere. If you look here, we're supposed to find verbs in the future tense, but this particular sentence does not have a verb in the future tense either. And as the impersonal verb phrase, necesse erat, which means it was necessary, erat is the imperfect tense form of the verb sum esse, which means to be in Latin. Erat is imperfect, and so I've translated with the word was. If it was future, it would be the word eret, and would be translated will be. So in this case, we've got an imperfect tense verb rather than a future tense verb. So it was necessary, manere, to remain in urbe, in the city, and then the word deu is an adverb that means for a long time. For a long time. It was necessary to remain in the city for a long time. It was necessary to remain for a long time in urbe, in the city. Next sentence, number 6. Nocte vehicula magna onera in urbem ferent. To find verbs in the future tense, well, we've got one here finally. Ferent is the third person plural form of ferro, ferre, which is the verb to bear or bring in Latin. This particular form is future tense and is third person and plural. So you're going to translate it as they will bring. Now we're ready to translate the sentence. Nocte is in the ablative case, and it's from nox noctis, and it's just translated as at night. At night, vehicles, vehicula, is neuter, nominative, or accusative plural. I'm going to translate it in the nominative case because it just makes more sense. So at night, vehicles ferent. At night, vehicles will bring. And then the word magna could modify either vehicles. You could have had it modify either vehicles, as in large vehicles, or you could have had it modify the word onera, so large loads. Large loads. And then we have a prepositional phrase, en urpem, into the city. Into the city. At night, vehicles, which may be large, will bring large loads into the city. And ferent here is our verb in the future tense. We've translated as will bring. Will bring. Just to pause here for a second. Onera is from onis, oneris, which is a neuter, third declension noun that means load. Vehicula is a neuter, second declension noun. Both onera and vehicula, being neuter, they have the same case ending in the nominative and in the accusative plural. If you look on the charts on page 267, vehicula, again being a second declension neuter noun, is going to follow the chart for baculum, whereas onis, oneris is going to be a third declension neuter noun and follow the chart for nomen, nominis. If you look at the nominative plural and the accusative plural for both of these nouns, you can see here that they both end with the letter A, as does magna. Magna is the same case number and gender as either onera or vehicula. So you could have had magna modify either one of those words there. Generally, this won't happen where nouns that are in different declensions will have the same case endings. This is something of an accident, but just know that you could have translated magna as modifying either vehicula or onera. In this case, you would have been exactly right. So let's go ahead and move on to the next sentence. Number 7, pueri circum maximum cras videre volent. The only verbs that we have here in the future tense are volent. If you look on the charts on the preceding page, you'll find volent. You can definitely tell that it is third person in plural based off of the nt ending. And if you've memorized the forms for volo velle, you'll see that volent is the future tense form for volo velle. So you'll translate it as will want. The subject here in this sentence is pueri. So in this case, the boys will want. And the word want here is complemented by the infinitive videre. The boys will want to see. And what will they want to see but the circus maximus? Will want to see the circus maximus. And then cras is just an adverb that means tomorrow. Tomorrow. Volent here is our future tense verb, meaning will want. And in this case, the boys will want to see the circus maximus tomorrow. Next sentence. Ubi liberi mane erant, tu liberos non vedibus nam edomo nostro mox exibunt. Our verbs in the future tense are here. Vedebimus is from video videre, which is a second conjugation verb. It's definitely in the future tense, as indicated by the letters bi in between the roots of this verb and its personal endings. And it's future tense in second person and singular. And exibunt, which is an irregular verb, from io ire. If you look on the preceding page, there's the charts, and there's the form of the uncompounded verb io ire. Exibunt is future tense. and third person and plural. The last verb that we have here is erant, which is not future. It's perfect tense in third person plural, and is from io ire. Io ire. It's perfect tense, not future. If it was future, it would have the form ebunt, kind of like this compounded verb exebunt here. Now that we found our verbs in the future tense, we can go ahead and translate the sentence. Ubi liberi mane erant. Ubi just means where. So where did liberi, the children, erant, go early in the morning? Where did the children go early in the morning? Next sentence, tu, here's our subject. You, non vidibimus, you will not see liberos, the children. And why is that? Nam, for, exebunt, for they will leave out of our house. It's a vocab word that's listed here. For they will leave out of our house soon. The word mox just means soon. You will not see the children, for they will leave out of the house soon. Next sentence, si equi strenue laborabunt, radam e false extrahere poterant. We have two verbs in the future tense. The first is laborabunt. You can tell here by the bu in between the root of the verb, which is from laborare, meaning to work, and its personal endings, which is the letters nt, that it's in the future tense, in third person plural. Poterant is an irregular verb from posum, posse, meaning to be able. And so you would translate this word as they will be able. So they will work and they will be able. Let's go ahead and translate the sentence. So se equi, which is if the horses will work, and then strenue is hard, will work hard, they will be able, that's how you would translate poterant, they will be able to drag out, extrahere, drag out what? The carriage out of the ditch. If the horses will work strenuously, they will be able to drag out the carriage out of the ditch. Next sentence. Si pluit, ad silvam, ambulare nolam. We actually have two future tense verbs here. The first is pluet, which is from pluit, pluere, pluet, which means it is raining. If you look at the second principal part of this verb, pluere, you'll notice that it's infinitive form, and the significant vowel in that infinitive form does not have a macron over it. The significant vowel is the vowel that comes before the letters re in the infinitive. This does not have a macron over it. And so this verb here is third conjugation. And so even though it looks present, pluet, it's actually going to be future tense. It'll have the future tense endings pertinent to a third conjugation verb, as in volamus and volo vele, nolo nelle, and fero ferre. Though those are irregular verbs, but this ending et looks similar to the endings that we find here. And then nolam is the second future tense verb. It's from nolo nelle, which means to not wish or not want. Nolam is going to be future tense, first person singular, and translated as I will not want. Now that we have our verbs in the future tense, let's go ahead and translate it. So, si pluet, if it will rain, ad silvam ambulare, nolam, I will not want. and then the meaning of this verb here is complemented by this infinitive ambulare. I will not want to walk ad silvam to the wood or forest. If it will rain, if it will rain, I will not want to walk to the forest. Sorry for that typo there on rain, but it's just rain, if it will rain. Next sentence, number 11. Ferisne kista miam in capona, minime tu epse iam fer. We have one verb here in the future tense from ferro ferre, the verb to carry, to bring or bear. If you look here, the ferres is second person and singular, so you'll translate it as you will bring or bear. And it's also being used as a question here. And that's going to be the only verb that we have in the future tense. The verb fer here is actually an imperative. So this is being used as a command, i.e. bring. If you remember how to make the imperatives, you take the second principal part, the infinitive, and you chop off the re. If you want to leave it as a singular imperative, as this is, then you don't do anything to the word that you've created, in this case the word fer. If you want to make it in the plural, you add the suffix te. You add the suffix te, and that indicates that you're telling a group of people to do something. But in this case, it's not future tense, only ferisne is. So let's go ahead and translate this. Ferisne, will you bring my chest into the inn? Minime, no. Tu ipse iam fer, bring it. Bring, and then yam here, we should translate as the word it, referring back to the chest or the trunk. Bring it you yourself. Bring it yourself. To here is just the word you, so bring it yourself. Ferisne, will you bring kistam meam, my chest, in caponum, into the inn? Minime, no. Tu ipse iam fer, bring it you yourself. Bring it yourself. Next sentence, redibitisne ad villam rusticam fortasse redire poterimus. Redibitisne is future tense, second person in plural, and it's from the irregular verb, compound verb, redire, meaning to return. So in this case, it's going to be translated as will you return. And our second future tense verb is poterimus, which is first person in plural from possum, posse. So you'll translate this as we will be able to. We can go ahead and translate this sentence now. Redibitisne, future tense, second person plural. So will you return ad villam rusticam, to the country house and farm. Fortasse, which just means perhaps. And then poterimus, perhaps we will be able to. And then this poterimus here is complemented by the infinitive redire. Perhaps we will be able to return. Will you return to the country house? And remember that redibitisne is second person in plural. And so this you here is implied. That's referring to a group of people. Let's go on to number 13. Sentence 13. Volatisne cras ad circum maximum ire itovero cras illuc ire volamus. We've got two verbs here in the future tense. The first is volatisne. Volatisne comes from the irregular verb vola vele, which means to wish or want. Volatisne is second person and plural, future tense. So you're going to translate this as y'all will want or y'all will wish. The other future tense verb that's here is volamus, also from vola vele, to wish. In this case, it's future tense and first person in plural. So you'll translate it as we will wish or we will want. Now that we found our two verbs in the future tense, we can go ahead and translate the sentence. Wolatisne, this is asking a question here. Whenever you see the letters ne at the end of a verb, it's indicating a question. And that question is, will you want, and then what the subject you, implied plural, will want to do is complemented by the infinitive ire. Will you all want to go tomorrow? Where? Add Circum Maximum to the Circus Maximus. Will you all want to go tomorrow to the Circus Maximus? Next sentence, ituero, yes, indeed. Wolamus here contains both our subject and our verb. We will want, and then what they want to do is complemented by the infinitive ire. We will want to go. Kras, again, is just tomorrow. Iluk, it's just an adverb meaning there or to that place. Yes, we will want to go there tomorrow. Will you all want to go to the Circus Maximus tomorrow? Yes, indeed, we will want to go there or to that place tomorrow. Next sentence, number 14. Ego ire nolam inquit Aurelia. We have one future tense verb, nolam. Nolam means I will not wish or I will not want. It comes from the irregular verb nolo nelle, meaning to not wish or not want. It's first person and singular, as you can see here. So you're going to translate it with the word I will not want. This is wonderful because the person in number of nolam, being first person and singular, agrees with the subject that they've supplied here, the word ego. Ego in Latin means I. You really don't even need it, this particular pronoun, the word I in the sentence, ego here. They've only supplied it to provide some emphasis. Aurelia really does not want to go. And so quotation, and inquit is, depending on context, present or perfect. I'm just going to translate it more in our English past tense, giving it the word said. So, but it's definitely not future. I will not want to go, said Aurelia, is the way that you would translate the sentence here. So I will not want to go, said Aurelia. And then we've got one last sentence here. Post cinam pueri cubitum ire nolebant. In reading over this, we actually don't have a verb in the future tense. Nolebant is imperfect, third person plural, and is from nolo, nole, meaning to not wish or not want. Since we don't have a verb in the future tense, let's go ahead and translate the sentence. So, post cinam pueri cubitum ire nolebant. Post cinam is a prepositional phrase meaning after dinner. After dinner. Our subject is here, pueri. Pueri is masculine, nominative, and plural. So pueri is going to operate as our subject. So after dinner, the boys. Then cubitum ire is an infinitive meaning to go to bed. And nolebant here is our verb. So nolebant, were not wanting. After dinner, the boys were not wanting or habitually did not want to go to bed. After dinner, the boys did not or were not wishing, were not desiring. To be as literal as possible with the imperfect tense, I would say were not wanting. You could say did not want to go to bed. And that brings us to a close for exercise 23G.